Welcome back to Trading Rolly. Happy weekend, everybody. All this Bitcoin ETF rumor news. I think we're actually getting one this week. I think it's been approved. All right, there's been a lot of rumors going around on Twitter, but it looks like it's official. We'll go into that shortly. Go ahead, hit that like for me. I'm coming back, so I need these likes for the algos. Subscribe, leave comments, anything you want to see in the future. At the end of the video, I have a special announcement for everybody. We're going to do some Bitcoin technical analysis today, all right? And quick correction from the last video on Ethereum and Solana. FTX does not own the building, the Miami Heat Arena. They don't own the building. FTX owns the rights to the name of the building. All right, we got that out of the way. Let's go ahead, take a look real quick at the market. We can see Bitcoin up 12% in the last 7 days, Ethereum up 9%, and Polkadot up 25%. I wanted to shout this out real quick because this is an example of buy the rumor, sell the news. They announced their parachain auctions on November 11th. You see this week, price on Polkadot moved up 25%. This is something to watch out for in the crypto market. If there's a mainnet launch or there's an airdrop, any event to look forward to, you will see price generally rally up into that price date or the event date, like November 11th, and then on the 11th or maybe the day before or 2 days before, you probably will see some profit taking. This is to be expected with crypto. You saw what happened with Doge after SNL. This is just, part of the game in crypto. But what we're here to talk about today is Bitcoin. And we're seeing, these articles. SEC approves the Bitcoin futures ETF. It's not quite the actual, solid Bitcoin spot ETF, but hey, this is definitely a step in the right direction, and I'm sure the spot ETF will follow next. So people are excited. What should we expect from this? I think we might get an official announcement this week, and then we should get in a timeline, a date of when we could see this actually hit the market. So we could see a Bitcoin rally into whatever date they set. We haven't seen that yet. And maybe there will be some profit taking right around that. We did see that with the CME futures that opened up in December 2017, and we know what happened after that. But guys, mostly I'm a technician here. I like the technicals. I like the charts. I think when you're working with crypto, you don't have a balance sheet to look at necessarily. You don't have profits and losses as a company. So the technicals are more important. And I'm a subscriber to this. Show me the charts, I'll tell you the news. Before we even had this huge rumor in the past 2 days about this happening with the ETF, I was pointing out on my Twitter, I've been posting some more charts lately, at Trading Rolly. I was showing a bull flag on October 8th. You can see once we broke this downtrend resistance, I was looking at this as a potential bull flag there, and you can do a measured move where you take this part of the pole, flag it, and then equal measured move. And that takes us right back to the previous all-time highs around 65K. So that was October 8th. On October 9th, I saw this was filling out a little more, kind of drew a new downtrend resistance line, calling out this bull flag. And then I called out the daily candle breakout above. You saw resistance, and looked like we're going to close. This was at 57,000, and then we just went higher. So this was before the rumors, all right? So today I'm just going to refresh everyone, with my indicators and what I like with horizontals, give you something, a playbook to work with in the future, because I will be jumping around to different assets, different coins. It won't be solely Bitcoin like I used to do in the past, okay? So let's go ahead and just go right over to my chart, and we're looking at Bitcoin. Let's see. I like the weekly, the daily, and the 4 hour. Those are the time frames I like the most. you want to start with the macro picture. So we would look at the weekly chart, and I'll make this a naked chart without the indicators. So we're looking at the weekly. We can see this is an uptrend. Then you would move down to your daily, and then you can determine, all right, we're also looking at a higher high, a higher low, a higher high. So this is also in that uptrend, okay? So I like what I see here. And then you would go down to maybe your 4 hour if you want to look a little close. The 4 hour I think is more specific for crypto, not necessarily traditional markets that are only open, specific hours, Monday through Friday, but crypto's a 24/7 hour market. So I think the 4 hour in crypto is almost like a 1 hour candle in the stock market, okay? So we'll get back to that in a second. Zoom back out to the weekly. And then briefly, I'll just go over some very, very simple indicators that I'm using. So when I'm doing more videos in the future, you'll be able to follow along. I need a quick sip of water here. Okay, and we're back. So we can start with the moving averages. For me, I like the 10 simple in crypto. You can see it does act as nice support, especially in crypto. And I'm using a combination of simple moving averages and exponential moving averages. And these are just the ones that I find work for me the best. Everyone has their preferences, but I like the 10 simple. The yellow is my 21 EMA, and these are just colors that I designated. This is going to be your 50 simple, the blue one. Orange is 100 simple. Your light green is a 200 EMA. This is a little bit faster moving than your simple, and then you have the 200 simple. And I just keep it with these, and basically they can act as support, they can act as resistance, as you see there. So support, then that support was lost. There was a bit of resistance, and finally was able to break above. So you're using these lines. And this is just a guide. None of this is going to be a magic 8-ball, as they say. This is just a guide of levels you can expect. Something very similar that a lot of people like to use as well are the Bollinger Bands. And your middle Bollinger Band is basically like the 20 simple. And just to keep it very, very simple, I would say above the middle Bollinger Band, bullish, below, bearish, okay? And when you get a really good move, you're going to trend along the top side of that band or maybe below the band if it's a very bearish downtrend, okay? So those are pretty much your moving averages that you would use. And then I like my RSI, and I like my stochastics. My settings are slightly different from, I think, the default. So if you're interested in the stochastic settings, I have a 14.3.6, and maybe we do some other videos on all that. But I don't want to take too much time on that, especially, if you have some guys in here who are just well-versed and experienced. But we do have to catch up the rest of the crowd real quick. And then on top of that, I just use very simple horizontal lines and diagonals. I do prefer my horizontals over my diagonals, but where do you find horizontals? Well, you would find it with areas of resistance. So you could draw one at a peak, and you can see how this went across, and we actually had a bit of resistance at that previous peak. So that was a good horizontal to draw. You saw an ascending triangle pattern breakout. And if you look at the daily over here, I've drawn some new horizontals. I was expecting resistance at this peak, but we blasted right through it. So I'm hoping to find this as support. Often with horizontals, you want to see a previous resistance flipped as support. So you saw the previous resistance, flip support, and then built support, and boom. So now we'd like to do the same thing, and this is about 60K. So if we can hold 60K over the weekend, and then we get this ETF news during the week, I think we could potentially take out this 65K resistance, our next peak, or at least, not take it out necessarily, but at least test it as resistance. Hopefully we just blast right through, right? And then you have your diagonals. The diagonals are good for patterns, like the ascending triangle pattern is popular when we're in a bullish rally, uptrend, bull season, whatever you want to call it. You'll see ascending triangles, and usually these are pretty good. I would say more times than not, you're going to see this go to the upside in, like I said, a bull market, okay? And then also you can use maybe these diagonals to find descending triangles. In a bear market, you can see these are pretty severe, but you have to pay attention to these descending triangles. This was a classic 2018. This was in 2019. All right, what do we have here? Now that I broke down all that, hit that like for me if you learned something. All right. We're just going to do a quick breakdown on Bitcoin, and we'll move on. All right. So, weekly. If I take away, well, you can see real quick right here, I had that trend line. We have found resistance there on the previous weekly, and now we broke above it, so that's good. But you're also hitting, let me try and zoom in here for you. All right, so this is what I wanted to show. So you had this trend line here come across as resistance. Excuse me. So you found this resistance right over here. And during this whole period back between about March to May, we didn't really see any candle closes above this level. All right, you can see this wick rejection. These candles couldn't. Maybe we could slide this slightly right there. All right, so what I'm looking for with the weekly candle close tomorrow is to see if we have a new higher candle body close. So that's not including the wicks. This is going to be your all-time high. The wick up here, you can see that's going to be at 64,899. This is on the Coinbase chart. And we have hit 62,900. So we haven't taken out that wick there, but more important is your candle body. So can we close above the previous candle body high? And this close was at 59,985. So if we close tomorrow's weekly candle above 60,000, this is a bullish sign, okay? It doesn't mean everything, doesn't mean we're going 100K, but you know, all of these things add up in the right direction, all right? So that's what we're looking for tomorrow. And, you know, if we do get a pullback, we want to see that 60K hold, like I was showing there earlier on the daily. And we can see so far it did test that. And this was just using that peak there. And you can see that it has tested it and got a little bit of a bounce. We can go to the 4-hour, look a little bit closer. Look at that. Look how it's wicked back up. All right. So we'll get closer look on some of the other indicators after that. But this was drawn on my Twitter and shared before. I haven't touched these lines. You can see the rejection there. The candle body closed just below it, and then boom, now retesting it. This is where we find our levels of interest. All right, so going back to the weekly, let's look at some of those moving averages in our Stokes. We'll wrap it up because we're already at 14 minutes. All right, so take away these drawing tools. We'll take a look at our, let's go Bollinger Bands. So you can see we're in the bullish zone. We held support above that middle band. That was nice to see. And now we're trying to see if we can close above that upper band resistance. That upper band currently is at 58,500. So close above 60,000 would be a close above the upper band. And you see what happened the last time we did that. So that would be bullish and continue this bull thesis. And then moving averages, we're above. We had that nice bounce above your 50 simple here. And we're holding the support there. You're above your pink. You're above the yellow 21. You're above all moving averages. This is also going to be bullish, okay? Excuse me. Looking at your stochastics. Your stochastic is high and crossed down. So if this begins to trend lower below this region here, maybe we do get a temporary pullback. However, with everything that's happening, I would be looking for possibly this to cross back up and float in this bullish region like we did back here. You can see it can trend higher. Just because it goes up here doesn't mean it has to come down. And usually by the time you've made a large bull breakout move, you're going to be in these upper regions. Same with the RSI. So just because you hit the top doesn't mean it's time to short it and go bear mode, because often in the most bullish move, you're going to be up here and you're going to stay up here for a while. So that's what we're going to be watching for. And then the RSI also trending higher on your weekly, and you're also putting in an uptrend of a high, a higher low, and a higher high. So all of that looks good to me on the weekly. I would still be holding for sure. Something I would say, I showed you those horizontals, but something also I want to talk about real quick, possibly, are zones of resistance. And you could draw that possibly with like a rectangle. And, for me, there was a lot of trading right in here. A lot of trading. And where you have the previous trading, often you will see resistance, well, especially if it's above you. And, where you have previous trading here, you will find support. And this is just because a lot of positions are being made in those regions. So in this scenario, if you were a buyer here and price returns to that region, people are thinking about, jumping ship. Should I get out at break even? Okay, so that's why you will see, this previous trading range potentially turn into resistance in the future. And, on the vice versa on this bottom side. And you can see there is a large trading region here. And this is where ultimately we did find support. So just something to look out for in the future. Looks like we're trying to bust right through this, I would say, right? We're actually trying to find support above it, which is definitely very bullish as well. Okay. So moving along to the indicators on the daily, looking at our Bollinger Band. So we're hitting that resistance along this upper band. We didn't quite close above it, so we could, during this weekend float out this way and then make another stab higher possibly. Otherwise, this support line will be rising as well. Currently at 51,000, I would say we have good support above 50,000. And then quickly moving on, we got our moving averages above that pink 10 simple. Look how it bounced off that as support, but we are separated from it. Worst case scenario, you have support down at 56,800, and then the next support would be your 21 EMA at 53,410. Your Stoke riding along there. RSI high, but I'm not seeing any bearish divergence on the RSI on the daily time, so nothing to be worried about there. 4 hour Stoke has crossed down, but this is just the ebb and flow of the market. You can see as we've been rising, it goes up, crosses down, crosses up. And, 4 hours better for maybe, a shorter time frame trader. Possibly if you're on margin, futures, I always like a 4 hour cross up as a good long signal, especially in a bull market. These are generally good signals in my opinion. And nothing to really say here about the RSI right now. And you're above your 21 EMA support. So everything looks good above your 50 simple. And if we just want to look at the Bollinger Band for due diligence, still bullish zone here. You have support rising all the way to 59,224. It'll be at 60,000 pretty soon, probably lining up with all those other indicators that I spoke of earlier. Guys, it's been almost 20 minutes, so I'm going to leave it at that. In the future, we may look at some Fibonacci's. You can look at the Fibonacci retracement for pullback levels. All right, let's just do it. All right. Real quick. I mean, if I'm going to talk about it, I might as well do it. It's not that difficult. Let's just do one real quick, guys. Hit that like for me. Hit that like. We can go over to the weekly. We'll draw. So this is going to be basically where you can gauge possible a fib. We'll do the fib extension first. So if you draw from the swing high to the swing low, these were going to be your resistance on the way up, but looks like we're already breaking and going all the way. We're full retrace back. So if we full retrace back and above all-time highs, your extensions give you targets to move forward. We're getting an 88,000. We're getting 125,000, let's say, targets. Those would be your next targets on the upside. And on the downside, if we do pull back, you would do a Fibonacci swing from swing low to your swing high. And if we happen to have a pullback, and you're always prepared for this, let's see if you can see it. Your 0.382 is at 50,000. Your 0.618, this is the golden retrace, is at 42,000. However, if we came all the way back down to 42,000 and bounced, people would be screaming head and shoulders, shoulder, head, right shoulder. So let's not go to the golden retrace. I wouldn't like to see that if this was the move we're looking forward to finish out strong, go to 100K by the end of the year. And I think this is definitely on the table. So maybe we do come back down to 50,000. That would line up with possibly, or 55,000. I see that 0.236 is lining up. If we go to the daily, we can see it's lining up with my downtrend. Okay, so yeah, the 0.236 lining up right there. So that's definitely a possibility. 60K, let's see if it holds. 55K next. All right, so that's it for the technical analysis. I did say I have a special announcement, everybody. I was talking about NFTs yesterday, the last videos like 2 days ago. And full disclaimer, I definitely own some of these, but this is what I fully believe in. This is a project I'm holding for the long term. A lot of great things happening in December, January, through the spring, all the way to the summer. So tomorrow night on my Twitter, I will be going on a Twitter space on the Apes of Space official Twitter. You can see that there, Apes of Space _ NFT. I'll be co-hosting a Twitter space over there. We'll be talking about Roadmap 2.0, talking about the Lady Apes we're dropping in December. There's a play to earn game we're going to be talking about, more updates coming there. And in the summer, we're also releasing baby apes. A lot of exciting things in it. NFTs. If you haven't got an NFT yet, maybe just stop in tomorrow night, take a listen to what's going on. You know, this is very community driven. When I got involved, I didn't realize I'd be really getting involved, but I'm passionate about it. I love it, and check it out if you're interested. So I just wanted to make that announcement for y'all. Shout out to the Apes of Space. I'll be done for today. See everyone tomorrow night on the Twitter space. A rolly roll. All right. Happy weekend, everybody.